Today we have with us Mr. and Mrs. King, and they're going to talk to us about what President Trump has done over the last nearly 4 years for the Black community. Briefly, before we get into the accomplishments, can you guys tell me, how did you become familiar with President Trump when he was then candidate Trump?
Now, the answer to that is very, very exciting. We had no idea about who we were going to vote for when the election was coming up in 2016.
Right.
And so we were praying about it and just trying to determine who would the Lord have us to support. You want to share a little bit more about that, Gloria?
We met President Trump at a rally in Asheville. Actually, it was right after Hillary Clinton had made her infamous comment about Trump supporters being a basket of deplorables. And President Trump invited some of his supporters up on stage to refute that comment. And Larry and I were blessed to be on stage with him at the Asheville rally. And that was our first meeting with the president. And then the second time we met with him, he actually invited us and several other Black supporters to come backstage at another rally that was sort of a private rally that he had staged just for Black Americans, to see what it was that we wanted from him. So we had this roundtable discussion, and it was like Black people from every walk of life. And we talked to him behind stage that day. And he actually, his statement to us was, "What do Black Americans want from me as president?" And so everybody talked to him and told him things. He listened. One thing that impressed me with him and really won me over, that this was truly a sincere and compassionate man, that he listened to every word we said. He had his staff to write down everything we said. And I have seen him actually accomplish everything we talked to him about behind stage that day.
Incredible.
So what we really saw was, we saw an answer to prayer, because being Christians, we really wanted to know exactly what our part was. You know, how could we be a part of what was going to happen in our nation, because we were citizens and because of our background, being impoverished, being minorities, coming from West Virginia, both of us originally. We were what they call, what Hillary Clinton called, deplorables. So when
And
we
didn't
got,
she say irredeemable?
Irredeemable, which is worse than...
Exactly. But we have been redeemed, and someone saw that our lives, we're both retired educators now, saw that our lives represented the success that's available in this nation, and that he, the president, well, actually he was candidate for Trump, was promising a lot of major things. And he did accomplish a lot of things, and has already.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible. So you're listening to some folks here who have actually been in up close and personal settings with President Trump when he was then candidate Trump. And, you know, from what we have talked about, it sounds like everything that he discussed with you all that day at the roundtable discussion was, you know, even brought out in his speech that day. And we've seen him act on those things. Tell me a little bit about, I know, I believe you mentioned at the meeting, at the roundtable, you talked about prison reform. Is that correct?
Yes, we talked about prison reform.
Actually, let me interrupt right there,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't actually his discussion. It was his listening.
Yes,
it was
that's
our
right.
discussion.
That's right.
Now you can talk.
Yes, and we talked about prison reform. We talked about vocation. One thing that stood out in the discussion with me, because I am an educator, is vocational education.
Right.
And he listened to everything, and everything was like, he heard what we were saying.
Amazing.
And it went in, and that really impressed me. The prison reform was on a lot of people's hearts about, what has happened to the black males,
Right.
the fathers in the home, and what he could do to get the fathers back into the homes with the family. So that was one thing that really impressed me.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Absolutely amazing. Tell me a little bit about what you've seen him do with prison reform.
Well, the 1994 crime bill, prison reform, crime bill, that belonged to Bill Clinton and also this fellow Biden. He put a stop to that. And that was a major thing because working with the juvenile prison, I see how that many of them were minor offenses. And the hope was that they would be able to be relieved from prison through that crime bill. That's one thing that he's done. And also the First Step Act, which is another prison reform issue. Alice Johnson and many others now have been beneficiaries of that.
And Alice Johnson is a black lady that is speaking out in support of Donald Trump because of the First Step Act. And she's going back in prison to help other people come out on this First Step Act. So he really has put a lot of people in a better place as far as. One other thing that really impresses me with Donald Trump is that he wants people to be employed. He's not concerned about you having a free handout. He wants to train people and for everybody to have a job, for everybody to be able to support themselves and support their families.
8,700 or so opportunity zones that he has created.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. What would you say to people who want to paint the president with a broad brush as a racist?
Well, one thing we know personally from meeting this man is that he's not a racist. And I think it's very strange that nobody else thought he was a racist. All the black movie stars and athletes and politicians that had their pictures made with him and thought he was great. Everybody wanted to be like Donald Trump until he became a Republican presidential candidate. And then all of a sudden he became a racist.
The saying, when I was principal back in 2003, 2005, with all of the minorities, the black young guys, was, I want to be like Trump. I mean, it was said all the time.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Very interesting.
And you know what thing he's done, though, what needs to be mentioned, and he's provided funding for black colleges and universities, permanent funding.
True.
And that makes a whole lot of difference from my perspective as an educator.
Absolutely. What about employment rates or unemployment rates?
He has employed, I think even this year, since his administration, at over 1.4 million have been employed. Minorities have been employed.
Incredible.
And historically low unemployment rates for Black Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans. Historically,
it's just incredible. What are your thoughts on how abortion disproportionately affects the black community?
Well, he's a pro-life president.
Yes.
And go ahead.
And actually, the abortion issue is a very important issue because abortion in the black community, most abortion clinics are located, I think I read somewhere, 79% of abortion clinics are located in minority communities.
It's incredible.
And the way the Planned Parenthood started was very racist because it was started, and the founder of the Planned Parenthood motto or her purpose was to eradicate the black race.
That lady's name was Margaret Sanger.
And you can look it up and look it on YouTube or any on Google, and you can find out that what she really stood for was the elimination of, at that point they were saying, of the Negro race. But if anything that is out to kill more black babies, to me, that's very racist. And he is against that. He's against abortion. He's
Absolutely.
a pro-life president. So I feel like that, if nothing else proves that he's not racist, that should prove it right there. He's trying to save black babies,
Absolutely.
not kill black babies.
I mean, President Trump is the first sitting president to ever address the March of Life, or March for Life in Washington, D.C. I mean, he has taken enormous strides to protect the black community as far as, their children. I mean, again, look at the record.
Look at the record.
So as we bring this session to a close, I want you all to reflect as you go into the ballot box. Folks, take a look at the people all the way down your ballot. We have obviously a presidential race here, but we also have races down the ballot. And this is something, you see these candidates, your town council candidates, your state representatives, different people like this who are running for office. These people are going to, whoever you choose on November 3rd, or if you vote earlier by absentee, these people are going to affect your everyday lives. The decision they make are going to affect your everyday lives, but especially our presidential candidates and their running mates. I mean, again, the most pro-life president we've seen in the history of this country, and perhaps has done more for the black community, as he says, since Abraham Lincoln. I mean, this is really outstanding. Is there anything you'd like to say to the black community in closing?
One statement I would like to say is, please don't let this rhetoric that's being perpetrated by the Democratic Party keep you from doing something that's going to benefit your life, your children's life, and your grandchildren's life. This is so important. It is so important that you get out and vote. And when you vote, make sure that you have a hold. Pray, ask God. God told us that we were supposed to vote for Donald Trump. And if you pray, God will tell you the right person to vote for.
Incredible. Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate it. And folks, again, November 3rd is the election. Get out, vote, make your voice heard, make your vote count. Let's do this in November. Thank you.